Hi, 7th graders. We're on lesson 8-6, which is inequalities, and it starts on page 441 in your textbook. Our learning targets are writing inequalities and graphing inequalities. So we've been working with equations the past few lessons and solving a variable that's part of an equation. We are going to work on writing and graphing inequalities, so then eventually we will be working on solving inequalities when there's a variable as well. So an inequality has different types of symbols. It could be less than, which is this sign, less than or equal to, so it has the line underneath it, which means or equal to. This sign is greater than, and this sign right here is greater than or equal to. And then we have an equal sign with a line through it, which is not equal to. So if you remember, the opening of the inequality symbol always points to the greater number. So if we write a number on this side, so if we have 2 is less than 3. So the smaller number goes at the point, the bigger number always goes to on the side with the opening. So let's work on writing them. So if we are given some sentences, we are going to practice writing inequalities. So a suitcase must weigh less than 40 pounds. So we are going to say that W equals the suitcase's weight. Okay? So we know that it has to be less than 40 pounds. So we can say that the suitcase, or the suitcase weight, which is W, is less than 40, because it has to be less than 40. So the suitcase can weigh anything less than 40. Okay? You must be over 12 years to play. So we can say A equals the person's age. You have to be over 12. So we can write it as A is greater than 12. We usually always write the variable, or when we write it like this, we would write the variable on the left side, and then our inequality symbol, and then 12. So A is greater than 12 is the same as 12 is less than A, because we can see that the opening is pointed to A, so A is going to be greater. But A is greater than 12 would be the correct way, or more correct way to write it. Members of a swim team must be under 15 years of age. So we can say M, members of a swim team must be 15 years of age, or we can say A equals the age. And then we could say they must be under 15. So A is less than 15 because it has to be anything under or less than 15. You must be at least 48 inches tall to ride the roller coaster. So we're going to say H is our height. And then it says at least. So that means that we have to be 48 inches or taller. So we have H. And then we know that if we are, so that the way that it helps me think of how I'm going to write my inequality symbol is that if I think, well, if I'm 47 inches, can I ride the roller coaster? No, because I'm not at least 48 inches. But if I'm 50 inches, I can ride it. So it has to be greater than 48, but then it says at least 48 inches, so it can actually be 48 or taller. So it would be H is greater than or equal to 48. You must be 12 years of age or younger to order from the children's menu. So we'll go A equals age, and then you must be 12 years of age or younger. So that means you could be 12 or 11 or 10 or 9 or so on, but you cannot be 13. So we would say A is less than 12, but you can also be 12 because you can be 12 or younger. So A is less than or equal to 12. A fuel tank holds at most 16 gallons of gasoline. So we can say G equals gallons. A fuel tank holds at most 16 gallons. So that tells us that it can't hold anything more than 16. It can hold 16 gallons. It can also hold 15, 14, 13, all that underneath. So we could say G is less than 16, because it's anything under 16 that it can hold, but it can also hold 16. So less than or equal to 16. Okay, if we are given the inequality, A plus 2 is greater than 8, and A equals 5, well, we can, and we want to figure out if that is true or false. So what we can do is we can rewrite our inequality, and instead of A, we're going to substitute 5. So 5 plus 2 is greater than 8. So 5 plus 2 is 7 is greater than 8. So is 7 greater than 8? No, we know, so that then it would be false. Okay, true or false? 10 is less than or equal to 7 minus x when x equals 3. So we're going to rewrite it. 10 is less than or equal to 7 minus, I'm going to put it in parentheses here, negative 3. Let me write my less than or equal to. Okay, so let's simplify. 10 is less than or equal to 7 minus negative 3 would be chop chop, so it would be actually plus 3. So then we'd have 10 is less than 10, we have our equal, less than or equal to. So is 10 less than or equal to 10? Yes, right? Because it can be less than or it can be equal to. So our answer is true. Okay, and one more thing on this lesson, we're going to talk about graphing inequalities. So when we graph inequalities, we're first going to put a circle on that number on the line. We're going to talk about graphing on a number line. We have to remember we use an open circle if it's less than or greater than. We use a closed circle if it's less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. And then we draw an arrow in the correct direction. So let's do a few together. So we have n is less than or equal to 3. So I am going to make this a little bit thicker. So our first step is we put a dot on the number. And actually I don't want to make this thicker, sorry, because I want to be able to draw it. So we put a dot, we find 3, and we put a dot. Okay? And now I decide if it's open or closed. It's open if it's less than or greater than. This is less than, so we're going to use an open circle. And then n is less than 3. So then my line is going to go this way, because any number that you plug in for n should make this sentence true, and any number that you plug in then should be less than 3. So we know that 2 is less than 3, 1 is less than 3, negative 5 is less than 3. If we drew our line this way, 5 is not less than 3, so that wouldn't work. And anything included in our line is what would make the inequality true. Okay? n is greater than or equal to 3. So again, I go to 3, and I put my dot. Because it's greater than or equal to, this time we're going to do a closed circle. Okay? So that tells me that 3 is included in my line, whereas on this one, 3 isn't included. So 3 would not make this sentence true because 3 is not less than 3. 3 equals 3. But on this one, we can include 3 because it's greater than or equal to, and 3 equals 3. And then n is greater than or equal to, so we're going to go this way. And again, I can pick one number that is included in this line, which I know 10 is included in this line. 10 is greater than or equal to 3, so I know that I drew my line correctly. So it gets confusing when you have a negative number, which is like this one. So we have n is greater than or equal to negative 5. It's greater than or equal to, and it's negative 5, so we're going to draw a closed circle. Okay, so if it's greater than or equal to, we have to think, well, it's negative 5, but it has to be any number that is going to be greater than. So negative 4 is greater than or equal to negative 5. 1 is greater than or equal to negative 5. So that means my line has to go this way. Okay? And then n is greater than 2. It's greater than, so we have an open circle. And then my line is going to go that way. All right, that is all I have for you, so make sure you log on to NICU and take the 8-6 NICU quiz.